Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. My name's Such.
And my name is James.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
You don't know?
saying
No, that's still my name. I promise you.
no. I'm not saying it with conviction that the world revolves around £50,000. I don't know if it does.
Oh, what's
I
happened,
don't know if
mate?
it. Nothing's happened. Well, look, yesterday I dropped in rank from 4,500 to 5,500. Um, and I
And you
don't know.
ain't you lucky?
I don't know why. Because I had Saliba and Trippier, so double clean sheets there. I only had four players play yesterday, so maybe that is why. But double clean sheets from Saliba and Trippier. Captain Rashford popped up with a goal, and Padinho picked up a tackle tier, albeit accompanied with a yellow card. So I've had four players; they've all done all right.
Got Rashford. You got Rashford, didn't you?
Yeah, as
Yeah,
captain.
yeah.
So like it's decent enough. So what I'm confused about, James, is where did everybody else get their points from? Because it wasn't like anyone else particularly went big and really returned heavily, or someone with crazily high ownership. This time last week, we talked about why everyone had seemed to do so well, and you talked about all the players with more than 10% ownership, bar two, had all returned. I haven't seen it yet, mate. To be honest with you, and even off the
Gonna
back of Brentford Liverpool, let's say on Monday, I captained Salah and I had no other coverage on the day. I didn't drop in rank at all. So anybody that like you that captain VVD was probably same boat, right? Not much in it on terms of points. Whereas yesterday, all my players have returned and I have dropped in rank. So just to kind of wrap up this kind of tirade, I'm on 105 points for the week so far. On Friday last week, I had Salah, which was a captain fail. On Saturday, I captained Erling Haaland, which was a captain return, but just, I would say. On Sunday, I bought and captained Harry Kane over Thiago Silva. Up till the second half, it looked like that was a big
it's the
mistake. It
right.
only turned out being a
It's the
small
right
mistake.
decision. It's the right decision.
Yeah, and Monday I captained Mo Salah again, and on last night, I captained Marcus Rashford. So I've had returns from Haaland and Rashford. No captain's gone off big. Generally, everyone in my team's returned, mate, bar the no-show of Carl Walker and Harry Kane so far, and
So
Kepa,
you
sorry.
want an answer?
I want to
As to,
know.
I'm
Yeah, I'm not
going to give you the
panicking.
same answer that I gave you last week, Serge.
All the big performers have returned.
No, Newcastle.
Okay.
Newcastle. You've got Trippier clean sheets knocking about, Fabian Schär clean sheets knocking about, Almiron got a tackle tier. All these little bits. That's the difference, mate.
What price is Miguel Almiron?
Mitrovic goal as well.
Yeah. I just didn't think the ownership would be that much that would lead to a
You're
thousand
going to
point
have
drop.
a few people who, in terms of like, you think, oh, I've got Rashford. Not everyone's got Rashford, but a lot of people haven't got Rashford. Got Casemiro. He
Mm,
scored last night as well.
that's true.
There's a few that are going to have United defensive. So, I mean, if you had David De Gea, for example, you've got 33 points over the three United games over this period. So there's
Mm.
defensive United as well. Had three clean sheets in a row. So there's a few bits, but the main one will be Newcastle. So the ownership of the Newcastle guys is combined is big, right? Double
Okay.
Newcastle defense clean sheet is killing right now.
Okay.
There'll be a
Fair
few
play.
people who've got Trippier and Schär absolutely laughing over the last three game weeks or so. Again, anyone with United defensively laughing. The good news is a lot of these guys have got Newcastle, right? They ain't got another game till Sunday the 15th of January now.
Mm.
So it might swing the other way. And a little bit like it was the case for myself this time last week was like, okay, now I've had a big dip in rank here. Can't judge the week till Man City have played. And it's the same for me again this week. So I've got five Man City going into Thursday night. And there's every chance, depending on what happens over the next from point of recording, let's say 32 hours or so, that I might go into the City game tomorrow night with eight of them.
Wow.
So I can't judge this week
Until the
till
end of the week.
after it's
Agreed.
after it's
I've
gone,
got
basically.
I've got four as it stands, and I may go back to Kevin De Bruyne to get to five. And I'm also going to be buying Rodrigo more than likely, assuming he's in the team today. So Yeah, I get it. There's still players to play, and we shouldn't panic. I think this is one of the lessons of Sky, which I'll chuck out there, and then you can give us a wrap of where you are.
Do I have to?
Yeah. You will not. All of your transfers won't yield big returns, and you have to accept that sometimes it will be further down the road that you'll get those returns. If you try and focus on every last little detail, then you'll do yourself a madness, mate, because buying Harry Kane on Sunday for me was the right decision. I'm going to have 2 captaincies of him now. If he goes off tonight, it's made it all worth it. So when you make the timing of these decisions, sometimes it pays off 2 or 3 games in rather than straight away, and not to panic. But it's impossible in Sky, whether it's 40 transfers last season, 50 transfers this season, that every transfer is going to work. It's not going to happen. So you've got to just...
Even the person who wins the whole game ain't going to get every transfer, right?
Exactly. So that's why I'm not overly worried, but it was interesting to see that rank drop yesterday. We'll judge it again by the end of tomorrow.
Well, I'm at 6,500, Suj. So
okay,
90 points for the week. Admittedly, a few to go. Rodrigo and Kane tonight. 5 City tomorrow. I moved Chalobah to Akanji last Wednesday. When obviously City played Leeds, which hasn't overly worked out, but I got 10 points more from Akanji than I got from Chalobah. So feel like, and I don't think Chalobah's coming back into the Chelsea team tomorrow night. So feel like I had to go Akanji or Aki and just get on with it and accept that I'd talked myself into Chalobah and it was wrong, and not just be sitting on it and move it. So, I mean, tomorrow night, current intention, Van Dijk's definitely going. Harry Kane's probably going to go. I'm probably going to bin Rashford as well. And that's a chunk of money that I'm going to put into 3 more City, and I'm probably going to have money going spare. But he's subject to, it's a shame I think Laporte's unavailable, because I think he's going to make the decisions easier tomorrow. Like, I think Cancelo comes back in, so I think he'll be one for me. And then it's a case of, is it another defender? Is it another 2 defenders? Or I think if Foden's back in, I want to punt it quickly. I think if Phil Foden's back in the team. So I'm intending to use those 3 players to genuinely take me up to 8 City. All I'd have left then that's not City is Saliba, João Paulinho, and Rodrigo, with the intention to then move Rodrigo onto a Newcastle player on Sunday, the 15th of January. That's where I'm at in terms of plan at the moment. I'm committed to going all in on City, so I've got to follow through with it now and just go for it.
You don't got to. That's the fallacy of Sky.
I haven't got to, but I've committed to it, so I'm following through with it.
I get it.
And I might be a lot of following through if Man City don't do well.
There's a lot of the difficulty with having so many players from the same teams, which I found, is that the hop-on, hop-off points are the same. So if your team's only made up of players from 2 or 3 different clubs, you've only got 2 or 3 different windows of hop-on, hop-off, unless you're willing to take hits. That's why when I look at my team now and I'm trying to find gains, and we're going to talk about Leeds Villa, I'm like, who do I sell to get a Leeds Villa player? Well, there's only 2 or 3 players from my team that are possibilities to actually do that. I've got one planned transfer tonight, which is selling William Saliba. Man, could have got booked last night, please. That would have made my life so much easier, because then he would have missed the game and I would have got 2 or 3 games of Villa Leeds out of it. But I'm going to go to Rodrigo, and I'd like to go to Tyler Adams, but going to Rodrigo gives me better flexibility on formation. I'm in a 4-4-2 right now, and if I want to go back to Kevin De Bruyne, I can't buy Tyler Adams because I have 5 midfielders. So I'm going to go to the striker. Can't afford any Villa strikers.
So you can't get the Watkins.
9 million is too much. Whereas Rodrigo at 7.3, I think he is more than affordable. He might even be a little bit cheaper, Rodrigo.
No, he's not. He's
7 point something.
7.4.
There you go. That's affordable for me. And then from Rodrigo back to Saliba when I feel like it. Maybe I'll probably miss the is it Chelsea Spurs, isn't it, the next 2 for them?
Or who, sorry?
Sorry, Arsenal. Was it Spurs City?
Spurs Man United.
Spurs Man United. Yeah, I'm going to miss those 2 for Saliba, and I'll go back to him after. And hopefully he'll get booked in one of them and we'll know about his suspension. That's my ideal scenario. So I'm going to end up going to Rodrigo by default because he's the most affordable value for me out of Leeds Villa.
So are you kind of blocked by having to go for a forward here? Is that what you're saying?
If I go to Tyler Adams, then my back three will be Silva, Walker, Trippier. Walker's on the chopping block, mate. But I can't sell him before Thursday.
Who's your goalkeeper?
Edison.
Yeah, so you're not moving that. Okay, fine.
I've got Paulinho, Rodri, Salah, Rashford. I don't want to sell Rashford yet. I want to keep him for their next fixture. I'm not selling Salah because I need him for captaincies. Rodri's ticking along. I'm not selling him. And Paulinho, I'm not selling because he's my budget enabler. And then I've got Hall and Kane up top. So Kane's my sacrifice. I went from De Bruyne to Kane, captained him twice. The plan was to go back to De Bruyne. That's 5 in midfield. If I buy Tyler Adams, I can't do that. Then I have to keep Kane.
You consider the defender from Villa?
Tyrone Mings.
The problem with Mings is in 4 yellows.
Yeah, I'm not interested really.
Brutal. I think Consa 7.6. If you're just dipping your toes in and you're just going Leeds at home tonight, not Leeds at home tonight, sorry, Wolves at home tonight, and then captaincy versus Leeds next Friday, and then moving it straight on.
7.5 is my limit. Can't afford him.
And I think Ashley Young's too risky. I think he'll stay in the team.
I think Rodrigo's fine, right? He'll do a job. You got him in your team. It's serving a purpose, gives me a captaincy.
I think if I was going new, though, I'd want to buy Villa now rather than Leeds. And it's not a slight on Leeds. It's more actually, I've obviously seen Villa firsthand on Sunday. And we've spoken about this. If they go in front in games, they're going to be difficult to penetrate. And I think there's a few Villa assets you could definitely dip into. I think, to be honest, with Villa, most of it is going to be dip into and come off. Now you can stay a little bit longer and go sort of like Southampton away, Leicester at home, and then move it on from there, for example. You're not getting a Villa player in for the rest of the season, I don't think.
No.
I think the ideal solution for many people will be, if you're not on Edison, if Emi Martinez is back in the team tonight, that's the one.
Him. I did consider him. He's 7 million from memory.
You're not coming off of Edison, though, mate.
No. The other alternative option for me is to go to Boubacar Kamara, who's cheap, 6.8. But if I make that decision, then I'm committed to not going back to Kevin De Bruyne. And I'm already potentially committed. If Kyle Walker's not in the team on Thursday, I'm binning him. I've had enough. I can't be asked to wait around. There's 3 games I've missed of him. I'll go to an Akanji or Aki if they're in the team. So I've already bookmarked a transfer for the Man City game if Walker's out. And then where do I go to get Kevin De Bruyne in as well? Could be tricky. So if I decide to go to Boubacar Kamara, I have to maybe make a decision to skip Kevin De Bruyne for a couple of games. And that I'm scared to shit of. I think at some point in this game, he's going to return a 20-25 pointer.
To contradict what I said, Kamara is one of them who I think if he goes in, you can leave him. 6.8.
Yeah, I've only got Paulinho in there though, so I could skip Kevin De Bruyne for a game, get the next game of Marcus Rashford, and then go back to Kevin De Bruyne and come off Marcus Rashford.
If you were completely unrestricted by money or position, who would you want to go to from Villa or Leeds?
Ollie Watkins.
I would like to throw Buendia's name into the hat.
What price is Buendia?
He's 7.8.
Yeah, decent shout.
Leon Bailey's 7.4, by the way. Bailey, I wouldn't trust to stay fit for more than a week, though, and you need him to stay fit for more than a week. Buendia, I think, is absolutely locked down this place ahead of Philip Coutinho now. He has a role where defensively he'll end up in a wide position, but as soon as they get on the ball, he's drifting into the number 10 position. And he's at the heart of the good things that they're doing offensively now. And I think he's going to be one where ownership will be low. He's got one person owns him currently in the top 1,000. And there will be some interest in him tonight, but not a lot. He is going to be a super differential. I think if it were me and I didn't have Edison, again, I'd be looking at the Emi Martinez route tonight. But I think the preference now, because it's Wolves tonight as well, and you do look at it and think, I can see them winning 1-2-0 tonight. And they will be favourites at home to Leeds now next Friday because they've shown an upturn in form and performances. then I think you do probably want a Villa player. That said, Rodrigo is super value, but hasn't shown anything the last two games to make you think, oh, it's coming. That said, he's playing Man City and Newcastle. Those two games
And
may
West
well
Ham today will
West
give up
Ham
more
tonight.
chances.
It may be that those two games have really helped him from a fitness perspective. Again, I think he'll stay in the team. I think Somerville is such an amazing price, but it feels a bit gambly. But I wonder if people might consider him as a nice little differential as well if he's in the team. 6.3, Suj, which is absurd if he gets back in. Like if he's in the Leeds team tonight, I'd probably prefer him as a pick over Kamara, just because there's good upside on it. He'd scored in quite a number in a row before the World Cup and the injury, hadn't he? So I think Somerville at 6.3, you'd be very interested in if you knew that he was going to start tonight, which obviously if you're buying, you'll get to see. I think a lot of people have made last minute decisions tonight on that. But it's beginning to feel more like Villa is the way to go. With Rodrigo, like I said, my position on it is I'm probably moving it to a Newcastle player Sunday 15th. And I think that's an ideal one. A lot of the listeners will have Newcastle players. Can you get a Leeds or a Villa player in for the two games, one as a captaincy, effective 3 for 0, and then move it back Sunday the 15th? I think that's a popular move that a lot will do, whether that's coming off Almiron, whether it's Trippier, whether it's Fabian Schär, for example, whether it's something else. That at the price bracket seems illogical. Just go to a Villa Leeds 3 for 0, move it back.
So a lot of people asking questions about Villa Leeds. I mean, we're 50% of the questions that we've had in on Twitter, James. I looked and we've had nearly 20 questions in, which is a lot for this particular show. More than half are literally Villa Leeds in terms of where's the best captaincy. Who do you think is the best captaincy for that Villa Leeds game?
I think probably Watkins.
Okay.
If the money doesn't matter at all. But it's probably a more, say if you're doing that with the Newcastle player, going Trippier to Watkins and back's probably challenging. And I think a lot of people's moves might be influenced as well by what they want to do with, say, City and Chelsea tomorrow night. There's plenty of case to say go in for Chelsea tomorrow night as well as City. So it might be that part of it is whatever's enabling tomorrow night. So there'll be a number of people perhaps not on Cancelo and have got the plan to get him in if he's in the team, want to make sure that they're leaving that money spare, or similar for Kevin De Bruyne. So it might be, for a number of people, it might be that the move is Liverpool player. So it might be that the immediate move is like, just for example, Salah to Rodrigo, which is then enabling you Almiron to De Bruyne, for example. I think people may be looking at moves like that. That's what originally I'd have been looking at, is Liverpool player to Leeds player originally to open up the money. I think Villa have put their hands up to say that they're worth consideration for this short little period. I think Buendia is a really interesting one, which is punty. He's not someone you'd want in there long term, but back-to-back home games, I think he's a really interesting one at a nice price, 7.8 Buendia.
Should there be got a dilemma whether to go from face to Rodrigo or Ramsdale to Martinez? Which do you prefer? Rodrigo for face, or Leicester have got a good couple coming up? Having said that, they had a good one yesterday, didn't they, on paper?
I think probably Martinez.
I
think in that case.
And Julian Wardle is thinking of a Villa defender. Konsa or Luca Dean. Mings 4 yellows means he doesn't want to move to him. Yeah, and doesn't want to sell Kepa.
Yeah, unfortunately, in this game, this is going to rule Tyrone Mings out, who probably would be the better call, but you fucking hell, you don't want to take that chance. So Konsa, I think Konsa over Dean. You wouldn't expect passing tiers, but it's not impossible. Villa's fullbacks have certainly been with the brakes more on with Unai Emery. What we don't know is if that changes for a fixture like Wolves at home tonight, but suspect that the way that they're setting up means that the fullbacks are going to be more defensive than what they were under Gerrard. So I think you've got as much chance of getting an attacking return out of one of the centre-backs than the fullbacks, would be my take. And when you're not expecting anything else with it, you're going to give a little bit of preference to the potential for the attacking return, I think. And I think that just lies with Konsa. over Dean personally.
We have FPL Rioch is selling either Miguel Almiron or Rashford. If he sells Rashford, he's got to buy Rodrigo. If he sells Almiron, it'll be Tyler Adams.
I mean, Tyler Adams is a good long-term pick. There's no question on that. So that probably defines what the answer is. That if you're just dipping in for the 2 games and then dipping back out, Adams is probably not worth it. You need someone that's got the explosiveness in him. And Rodrigo does. So I think you would prefer that option. Now, if you're looking for it and going, actually, yeah, I'd be happy to keep Adams longer term. Fine, just get Adams. So I think it depends what you want to do with it.
Yeah. I think that's where we'll leave it with the Villa Leeds, because obviously everybody's team is different and everybody's circumstances are individual and different. But we've kind of covered off some of the main assets there. You're going to need to toss it up, look at your budgets and figure it out yourselves. As James would say, play it your way.
Exactly that.
Shall we cover off some of the stats from some of the various games, James? Anything you want to add and highlight? And then we can get into some captaincy selections for the upcoming days. I think it'll be pretty straightforward. And then we'll answer the remaining questions that we've had in on Twitter as well.
Yeah, just cover off firstly, obviously, Leeds Man City from last Wednesday. What City were doing was starting up in a settled 3-2 build-up phase possession, which meant Aki at left-back was still very high in terms of the passing. So Aki 94, Stones was moving out to a right-back position, 75. Akanji in the middle of that, 111. 85 passes for Rodri. 5 shots on target for Haaland. To be totally honest, he could have been a massive, massive return from that particular fixture. Declan Rice, 101 passes Friday night. So did you enjoy that?
Well, I did tell you in the first half, we played much better football than we have for a long time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, West Ham with the ball is not necessarily the best thing in the world. There was a lot of passes for Aaron Crespo as well. Paquetá also hit passings here. Nothing really to speak of from the Brentford lads in that particular fixture other than David Raya. He is good for the save tiers, mate. I think I've seen he's on about 15 more saves than any other goalkeeper now. He regularly gets a mention every week, doesn't he?
Fuming that. Well, do you know what? It's one of those where I watched it live and I'm thinking, I need to keep that bastard in Sky. But when I've got Edison and Edison's got that many more fixtures, it was the right thing to go Edison. But yeah, David Raya is the next best goalkeeper in this game, in my opinion.
Take the example of the questioner who had Ramsdale. And I said, yeah, I'd probably go to Martinez. You don't have to go back to Ramsdale. You could, obviously, after the 2 games, you could look at someone like Raya and you're going straight into Bournemouth, Leeds, Southampton as those fixtures afterwards. And there might be something there. There might be part influence on that in terms of maybe what Manchester United's League Cup result is and a draw, because they're scheduled to play Manchester United on Carabao Cup final day. So you might be losing a fixture there. But then again, you know, what's your expectations from Man United away? Maybe a 5-pointer? Probably not a lot. So I think, yeah, he's worth consideration. There's nothing that you need to cover for captaincy from Brentford from that perspective at the moment. Liverpool against Leicester, 69 passes for Van Dijk, but Joel Matip missed out on it. Dewsbury Hall played very well, hit a tackle tier in that game. There were shot tiers for Salah and Núñez. Casemiro hit tackles for Manchester United at Wolves at the weekend. Obviously, Rashford didn't start, but still picked up the goal and shot tier from the bench. David De Gea has said 11 points in all 3 games for United. There was some decent tackle tiers for Palace players at Bournemouth at the weekend. Gay, Klein and Decore all in with the tackles. Senesi and Kelly picking up passing tiers at the back, which probably gives you an understanding of what that game was like. Palace got in front, played quite well, sat back and let Bournemouth had it. There were big passing numbers for Tim Ream and Issa Diop for Fulham against Southampton at the weekend. Just the 6 tackles for Paulinho in that fixture. He is a machine, isn't he? Last night at Leicester, it was like he's on none. Bang, he was on 4. It's literally like that.
Don't forget to mention his goal as well.
And he scored, yeah. He's just a brilliant asset, Paulinho.
Yeah,
I'm very comfortable, I think, captaining him next Thursday in Fulham, Chelsea. That's the what I came to with the Chalobah was Am I going to end up holding this because it's like, oh, I need the Chelsea player against Fulham? I'm not bothered. And I come to peace with I'm happy to captain Paulinho in that fixture.
There's only one game in the last 8 that he hasn't returned in, and that was Man City. Otherwise, it's 5-5-4, 5-4, 11-4. It's a starting base of 4-5 points every week with him.
Same 4 City players in the passing numbers against Everton at the weekend: Aki, Akanji, Stones, and Rodri. And I think if they're all in the team, that's kind of what I want to have tomorrow night. Is those 3 at the back defensively, and maybe Cancelo as well. There was a tackle tier for Alex Iwobi. For anyone who's got Nathan Patterson, by the way, I don't suppose they do, but he got injured for Everton last night. Is looking at a spell on the sidelines. Tyler Adams had 6 tackles for Leeds at Newcastle on his return. Obviously missed the Manchester City game. There was nothing tier-wise for Newcastle in that fixture at the weekend other than Guimaraes' 5 tackles. For Arsenal at the weekend, Bukayo Saka's now on 4 yellow cards, worth saying. Obviously didn't pick up another one last night. He had tackled here at the weekend. There was shots here for Martinelli in that victory over Brighton, who had some big passing numbers. They had a lot of the ball, Brighton. We shouldn't be surprised by this. Colwill, 96 passes. Dunk, 94. And the 2 midfield players also. Gilmore, 76. Gross, 62. More to come on Brighton.
You know what? With the Arsenal-Brighton game, when I saw Gilmore, I was like, I forgot he went there. Honestly, I didn't even remember that
easy done.
Yeah. Literally, I was like, oh, yeah. I remember
they were certainly better for having Caicedo back last night. Douglas Luiz shot here for Villa at White Hart Lane at the weekend. Tackled here for Emi Buendia to go with his goal. There was passes for Longley. Romero had the most with 80. Højbjerg and Basuma. I can tell you my team were pretty piss poor. Don't go investing in them at the moment. Big Chelsea numbers defensively in terms of passes at the weekend at Forest. Cucurella just scraped in 60 passes, but to go with it, 5 tackles, 77 passes as per Laqueta, 97 for Koulibaly, 118 for Thiago Silva.
Thiago was on like 55 passes after about 30 minutes, mate.
Yeah.
When I checked in, he'd already got to passing tier 1 after about 25, 30 minutes. Like, this is mental. He's on for it. And 118 passes, mate. That's mad.
Another saver tier for David Raya in the victory over Liverpool on Monday night. Just the 4 saves. There was also a save tier for Alisson. Shot tiers came from Shimikas and Oxlade-Chamberlain. Although Darwin Núñez did miss a few as per usual. Virgil van Dijk withdrawn at half-time on 39 passes to the delight of this captainer. Minor injury is the word. Probably going to be back, but I would suggest that he's for the bin anyway. Konate hit 60 passes. Joel Matip 24 in his 45 minutes on the pitch. 67 passes for Trent and his first assist for the season. Thiago and Fabinho also in the passes. Saliba, shorter passes last night, 53. Gabriel Magalhaes hit 65. Zinchenko, 82. And Partey, 78. And that's because, to be honest, Arsenal had quite a lot of domination in the sense Zinchenko was obviously coming in inverted. Day 2 was setting up with a 3-2 starting system. And Partey and Zinchenko in front of the back line had a lot of the ball. There was a tackle tier for Ben White. Joel Linton, Trippier and Almiron all in the tackle tier for Newcastle, was saved tier for Nick Pope as well. Tier 2 passing for Caicedo at Goodison Park last night. But Lewis Dunk missed out. Only 45 passes last night. Levi Colwill, 64 again. And he may stay in the team, you know, moving forward ahead of Adam Webster. It's one to keep an eye on, I think, further down the line. Alexis McAllister, we think, will be back in the team for the game against Liverpool next Saturday. And interesting on that, obviously, same price as Rodrigo. If people are looking to get rid of that straight away and don't have the money knocking about, McAllister's going to be really popular again quite quickly, I should imagine. Tarkovsky and Connor Cody, tier 2 passing. Whoopie-doo. Paulinho, just the 5 tackles last night. There were 6 saves by Bernd Leno. Fulham apparently a little bit fortunate to win again, as they were against Southampton at the weekend. Amati and Fass in the passing, which is not unusual, but clean sheets certainly are. For United, passing for Luke Shaw again last night, despite moving back to left back. And for
What
Victor
haul?
Lindelof,
17 points is a massive return.
big one. No other tiers for United other than that. It was tackle tier for Metham and Kelly for Bournemouth. They're on a nosedive though, Bournemouth. They won't enjoy their trip to Brentford next on Saturday the 14th.
Cool. Nice wrap up there, James. Just on captaincy, obviously tonight you're on Kane, right?
Probably yes.
Who's your alternative?
Rodrigo.
I only have one player tonight, which is Harry
I
Kane. So I will
I
be on Harry Kane.
the logical
Oh, sorry, I'm buying
decision
Rodrigo, but yeah.
is just to go with Kane. But I think it's quite a close call, actually. I don't expect Rodrigo to go off, is what I'd say. Like, I think both of those games are going to be low scoring. The sensible decision is probably to stick with Harry. Harry's an awkward one for owners in the sense I'm going to sell.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, for City. I mean, like Kane's Cancelo, for example, is sort of in mind. North London derby is obviously not far away. I'm looking at it going, I'm going to buy a Newcastle player that day. And also we'll have Saliba at Tottenham as a little bit of insurance. But I'll see the Newcastle team that day anyway, so it won't be a problem. I'm obviously not going to captain Kane against Man City on Thursday the 19th. Now, I could go back in for Harry Monday the 23rd when Tottenham play at Fulham. But to be honest with you, I may just, again, Paulinho, to be totally honest with you, and just leave it be. And it might be that I go without Kane for a prolonged period here. Tottenham, I can tell you, is not right. It's not clever at the moment. But there is bias in that from me. A negative bias, let's say. Harry will continue to score goals, put it that way. But I don't think, other than the Fulham game after tonight, he's not the best choice for captaincy again until probably Sunday the 19th of February. So despite the fact, obviously, Tottenham have an extra fixture with the City game, you can miss him out, I think. And that's my intention.
And tomorrow's Haaland, assuming he's in the team.
There's no reason why he wouldn't be in the team, mate. What reason would there be that he's not going to be in the team?
No, you never know, right? He might pick up a knock today or something will happen or what have you. But we'll see the team. So we have to add the caveat that if he's in the team.
So
if we weren't seeing the team.
Who would you captain Suj if he's not in the team?
Kevin De Bruyne.
I would go Cancelo. And if he's not in the team, then yeah, probably Kevin De Bruyne.
I don't know Cancelo, so
if he's not in the team, then someone at the back or Rodri. I'll have enough coverage in that game tomorrow night. My intention
if they're
is
all not in the team, I'll captain a Chelsea player because they'll be pretty depleted.
My intention is not to buy a Chelsea player. I think the absence of Reece James is really bad for them. I think, yeah, sure, for Thiago Silva, there's going to be some passing tears knocking about, but won't be tomorrow night, and it won't be at Liverpool on Saturday 21st. Fulham away, Fulham at home, yes, possibly. Crystal Palace at home, yes, possibly. They have a 5-for-2 over many teams, and with possibly 2 captaincy in there, maybe even 3. For some people, it would be effective sort of 8-for-2 or so. But I'm probably going to let it go unless I'm really unhappy with the Man City team tomorrow night. I may decide to bring Thiago Silva with me, but I don't think I will. I think I'm gonna let that go. But yeah, you should absolutely be aware there's a big Chelsea game tomorrow night as well, and some people will have some of it. I wouldn't be interested in much bar Thiago Silva personally.
Cool. Do you want to get into some Twitter questions, James? Should we do some of that?
Yeah, why not?
Let's start with a very simple question that I will leave you to answer from Mariusz Stoica. This is an entry-level question, James. What is a 3-for-1?
Oh, okay. So perfect example of that is where a team has 3 fixtures over a player that you're selling who only has 1. So let's give you an example and say that if you're selling Mo Salah for Kevin De Bruyne as an example, De Bruyne has Chelsea, Man United and Tottenham over a period where Mo Salah only has Brighton away. So you'd miss Salah away to Brighton, but you'd have De Bruyne for Chelsea away, United away, and Tottenham at home. But then Salah plays Chelsea before De Bruyne plays Wolves. then you can say it's 4-2.
Yeah, understood. Right. Hornet wants to know who the best captain for the Chelsea Fulham game is.
I mean, it's next Thursday. Again, we'll cover it more, but I certainly understand that most people would have probably wanted to buy their Fulham last night or Chelsea on Thursday. It's not Mitrovic because he's suspended.
Ian Parrin. Oh, go on. You're
on.
actually going to give an answer.
I mean, he's probably Thiago Silva.
Nice. Ian Parrin says, with transfer planning much more intricate in Sky than an FPL, why does the FPL community continually lose its shit over when rearranged games are going to be announced, while Sky players generally take it all in their stride? It's a really interesting psychological question.
Because I think in
mid-game transfers make a big difference, right? You can react. If something's rearranged, you can react mid-game week.
There's way more noise in the FPL community, isn't there, if you will? The Sky community is smaller, honestly. 99% within the Sky community are helpful, and the majority of people are helpful within the FPL community. But there's more noise. And in the FPL community, there's a race to be first and right. And that's going on now with prediction models for the percentage of chance of Brighton having a double game week in yada, yada, yada. And it's all been kind of, everybody wants to claim that they were first or they were right and that sort of thing. I repeat what I've said. I mean, it's possible there'll be no extra fixtures in January. I don't think there's any given. There's a lot of people who really, truly, truly believe that Manchester United are going to play Crystal Palace or Leeds in the period between the 17th and the 19th of January. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does, then it does. But I'm certainly not going to hold Marcus Rashford on the pretense of something that I don't think is going to happen. They've got City and Arsenal. And to be honest with you, if I might be in a position where I sell Rashford and subject to who I buy in from City, I could leave myself $1 million in the bank. It might be I go like Rashford to Rodrigo to Rashford when United play City, for example. And I think it's that perspective of it that we know. We say, actually, so even if a fixture does drop in there, okay, fine, I can go back if I want to. But then, to be honest, if the extra fixtures Leeds, I might just go, I've got Rodrigo to cover it. If it's Palace, it's more of a problem. I don't think it will happen anyway. But I think, yeah, we're probably more relaxed about it because we're probably more aware of the possibilities as well. So yes, look, there's a lot of people that think United will play between the 17th and the 19th. I'm not one of them, but if they do, they do. And I guess that's probably what Ian's referencing to is, okay, if that goes in there, then there's something potentially to look at. It could even be the same night as Tottenham play City if that still goes ahead. And then I'm not that bothered anyway either. So.
And last question of the show, James, is two people asking the same question, and it's quite relevant for you, particularly if you're going to end up on 7 or 8 City. Edmo says, given Pep Roulette, is the Man City pile-on a tasty trap? Steve also says, are we both still set on the Man City pile-up as we were last week? I'm now looking at 4 or 5 guaranteed starters, whereas it was up to 7 or 8 before the double game week. I'm worried.
I'm going in.
That's it.
I think that the one good thing with City underperforming the last week or so is that will put a lot of people off. And I still think this is the point to go and do it. Obviously, if the Tottenham fixture doesn't happen, then probably the answer would be you're better off waiting until the Wolves game on Sunday 22nd. But if it does, then it's back in for the Tottenham game on Thursday the 19th. But I still think it's now for me. So I'm going in. I committed to it with my strategy from the start. So I'm going to follow through with it. And I do think that when City kicks off tomorrow night, I think I will have 8 of them.
Cool. That's a wrap for Sky Fantasy Football for this week, James. We'll be back next week when there will be no fixtures. So we'll be a little bit more time to get into your strategy-based questions and maybe look a little bit more into some of the tier points and what we are thinking slightly longer term as well. There is the one game on Thursday next week that we'll be kind of planning and prepping around. You never know. We might get the odd rearranged fixture announced before then as well. Unlikely, but, you know.
Well, we'll certainly have a clearer indication of cup stuff and what the impacts of that, even if we don't anyway, which we will discuss.
Lovely jubbly. So make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed, hit the like button, smash a like, subscribe, do all of those good things that you're supposed to do on all of these platforms as well. But other than that, stay safe, look after yourselves. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Play it your way. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man. Child.